And happening now, hundreds of patients who may have contracted meningitis are being tested after the clinic that treated them had 2 patients die. Good evening, everyone. I'm Bob Mueller. The patients were treated at the St. Thomas Outpatient Neurosurgery Center here in Nashville. News 2's Joseph Pleasant has been following the story. He joined us now in the studio with the very latest. Joseph?
All right, Bob, the patients contracted fungal meningitis. Now, it's important to note tonight that that is not the same type of meningitis that killed a Wilson County child last week or MTSU student in early September. Those are bacterial meningitis. But the announcement today that hundreds of people are at risk for developing the rare fungal type of meningitis is still frightening to many folks.
Nearly 740 patients who had epidural steroid injections at St. Thomas Outpatient Neurosurgery Center were potentially exposed to fungal meningitis, an illness that causes an inflammation of the brain. 11 patients contracted the illness. 2 patients have died.
The FDA is working very closely with us in an ongoing fashion, along with the CDC.
The clinic voluntarily closed its doors as Tennessee's Department of Health, the CDC, and FDA investigate the source of the infection. Officials say at least a dozen other states could be involved because the equipment used in the procedure was produced out of state and distributed nationwide. Dr. Bill Schaffner is chairman of the Department of Preventative Medicine at Vanderbilt University Medical Center. He is not associated with the outpatient clinic.
Normally, when this rare infection occurs, it occurs in someone who's already very, very ill with other underlying illnesses. Then these otherwise harmless organisms kind of get a foothold, and they can set up a little pneumonia, get into the bloodstream, get into the brain, and cause meningitis that way.
The symptoms for fungal meningitis are similar to viral and bacterial meningitis. They include headache, fever, stiff neck, and slurred speech. But with fungal meningitis, the symptoms are often less severe.
These fungal meningitis cases are not at all communicable from one person to another, so we don't have to be concerned about that.
In the cases linked to the clinic, it took between a week and a month for the patient to fall ill.
Tonight, the Department of Health says no other medical facilities have been identified. Now, the patients were treated at the clinic between July 30th and September 20th. If you've been exposed, health officials should have already contacted you. Bob?
Thank you, Joseph. As we said, this is different from bacterial and viral meningitis. Tonight, Dr. Schaffner urged parents to vaccinate their young and college-age children. He says it protects them from the most common forms of the contagious types of meningitis.